es la voz de LA. It's la Cuna, Galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goles during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans and all you soccer fans in general. You know you have a home here. Wherever there is some footy going down, we're here to talk about it. And today, the LA Galaxy finally have their first opponent of 2026, a CONCACAF Champions Cup matchup against Panamanian club Sporting San Miguelito. We'll break down the draw and the Galaxy's chances, as well as the chances of other MLS teams. And that's why we'll be joined by J.R. Leber, a.k.a. the Scarf of the Defenders of the Bank podcast, and also our pod colleague on Soccer in 60, who drops by to help us examine the draw and talk about a mouth-watering potential El Tráfico quarterfinal in the Champions Cup that could be the biggest one in its history. We also give out grades for the Galaxy's attacking unit. Finally, yes, we promise we'll do it today. Plus, we get into even more transfer chisme as the transfer talk heats up. And you know we have a very special guest coming at you just to talk transfer in a couple of days. Stay tuned for that. All of that and more coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. But before we go any further, hola, soy Rabalon, one of your co-hosts, and you can find my written work at the Sporting Tribune, and you can always go ahead and find my back catalog of work at Extra Time Talk. And since I'm here, you know that my co-host is here. You know him as El Yerno Guapo, El Gitano Perdido, y El Papá de Natita. That's my goddaughter, y'all, for y'all that are tracking. Ananda Kirana. Papá, tenemos rival. ¿Cómo te sientes?
Yep, we surely do. It's getting real now. It's the off season, but you know, stuff's getting real. Things are moving. There's free agents out there. There is draws and tournament brackets that are being set up. So it's you know, it's counteracting my, I guess, the withdrawals that I've been having about missing LA Galaxy or missing MLS soccer. Yeah, I mean, like MLS Cup was just last weekend, right? So, but again, stuff to look forward to, a lot to talk about. Super excited to do this, and like,
papá, nos vamos a Panamá.
Well, vamos a ver, Jamaica, igualmente, right?
Oh man, don't let me loose in Jamaica. Whoo. Anyway, that's for a La Cuna after dark. But anyway, Baba, go ahead.
No. That was pretty much it. So I'm just excited to be with y'all. Of course, we're kind of breaking our rhythm here with the second stream of the week, going back to the old schedule. But when big news drops like this, Rob and I wanted to make sure that we reacted to it with you guys and just get our initial thoughts and feelings and reactions out there of how do we feel about the CCC. I mean, guys, like this is a tournament I would love to win. Like, I would love to win this tournament. I think a lot of MLS teams in general would love to win this tournament. We'll talk about that. But yeah, just a lot of things to think about as we approach this, this offseason, but just the news of the bracket dropping. So we'll get into the X's and O's, but should be an exciting show, 100%.
Yes. You know what's exciting to me though is that so many of y'all drop by and watch this show. We do want to say thank you for that, and to all 700 plus subs, we love y'all. Thank you. I mean, you help us get this show running, honestly, and we love the fact that now we have this vibrant, beautiful community that's here talking about Galaxy Soccer, and man, I can't wait. I'm like re-energized for this next season, and Cuneros is going to be a good time. So anyway, if you're here and you got something to say, got something off your chest, go ahead and drop into the super chats. You know how it works. Go ahead and drop a super chat. Let us know what you're thinking. And that's pretty much it for me. And I mean, just a standard entreaty to my friends on X and Instagram. If you are there, hop on over to that YouTube and hit that subscribe and you watch us there. That would be beautiful. We would love you forever. And as usual, Ananda will promise to take a shot with you. He promises. And I think that's pretty much it, Ananda. What else you got?
Nothing else other than you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana, and you can find us on all of our socials at Cuna Galaxiana is the handle, the name of the show. Pretty simple there. And Rob has gone through the super chats. And even though we're not really as active because I'm trying to figure it out, we are on Blue Sky. We exist out there in that universe. And I know like a lot of some soccer content creators are pushing that platform. But the most important thing is Rob still hasn't verified that we are not on Blue Sky. So there you go. But other than that, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de la Cuna Galaxiana.
Ahí está.
And yeah, let's roll to the show, man. Got a lot to get through.
Yeah, and we have one of our friends back as well, so we'll go get to the scarf here in just a moment here. But we have told you about this one, the third annual futsal tournament co-hosted by Jalen Neal, The Truth, the LA Galaxy Foundation, and the City of Lakewood is happening on December 20th and 21st at the Palms Park in Lakewood. Go ahead and check out Jalen's socials or Galaxy Mom socials for more information on how to enter that tournament. There are 2 Christmas parties by your supporter groups happening on December 13th. Lars is having theirs at 5 p.m. and then you can hop on over to ACB's at 7 p.m. to go ahead and get all your holiday fun in one night. I don't envy you the next morning, however, geez, if you are planning on going to both, you will probably have a lot of fun. There is a Blue, White, and Gold pop-up coming up on Sunday, December 14th from 12 to 5 at Common Space Brewery. And, of course, all your favorites are going to be there as usual. 1, 2 Threads and Yanos are always putting this on, and God bless them for doing so. I keep asking Unique Fettuccine, show yourself. Don't be a coward. I want to go ahead and meet you. This name is epic. Rowley coming in with some news here. ACB holiday event 12/13. We will be collecting non-perishable food donations for Siempre Unidos. Y'all heard them. Go ahead and hit up the ACB socials for more information on what kind of perishable foods, what other things you can go ahead and contribute, or how else you can contribute. I mentioned the Nyanos from 1, 2 Threads. They were nice enough to go ahead and put up a graphic of other G's events happening this month. G's Runs LA is happening on 12/27 at Absolution Brew. Go ahead and check out G's Run LA socials for more info. And then the Quasar Golf Club Masters is happening in the new year. I believe that'll be on the 2nd. And this one is really special for us, and hopefully you guys enjoy it too. This will be the first ever, announcing here exclusively, the first ever lunchtime stream transfer special with the Stash, Tommy Boger, aka Gambit with the good hair. That'll be happening on Tuesday, 12/16 at 1:30. So bring your sandwiches, bring your Uber Eats, bring the lunch pail, we're making it happen at lunchtime, 1:30 Tuesday, 12/16. So hopefully we will be joined by you guys for the first time ever at lunchtime. And welcome back to Tommy. We missed you. And since we'll have Tommy here really quickly to tell you what was happening in the world of transfers today. The re-entry draft started, stage one rather, started today. And for those of you not on game, the re-entry draft is conducted in the reverse order of the final 2025 season standings. Teams can select players who are at least 22 years old, have a minimum of 1 service year, and who are not eligible for free agency. This one happened, like I mentioned today. The Galaxy did not select anyone, and indeed, no players were selected at all. There is another stage to this, stage 2, that happens on December 17th, and that's where things could get real. Stage 2 could be a lot of fun for a lot of people. So, and speaking of these MLS offseason transfer mechanism like the re-entry draft, stage 1 to stage 2, MLS free agency did open. So there's that other side of it, guys. Free agency opened on Wednesday, December 10th at 1 p.m. for players who were at least 24 with at least 4 years of MLS service. Ooh, sounds like the military. And are either option declined or out of contract. Tommy does have a wonderful article about the higher impact free agents that are available at the moment. Some names bandied about like Dane St. Clair, Christian Espinoza, Christian Benteke, who we've spoken about on this podcast, Justin Hawk, Carlos Coronel, Walker Zimmerman. We've also mentioned him as a potential Galaxy reinforcement. Mikel Ure, Paul Rothrock. This one would just make Ananda the happiest man on earth. He's team Paul Rothrock for damn sure. Emeka Eneli, which has emerged recently as a strong possibility. A lot of teams after him are so not trying to sell. And then Hassani Dotson as well from Minnesota is available at the moment. So a lot of interesting transfer news. Ananda will have the stash here on Tuesday. I know you're excited. I'm excited, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the Gambit with the good hair, he did a pod with Gas earlier today with David Gas, and he was like, I had 25 phone calls I had to take in about a span of 3 hours. So he's like, that man is working hard, and I'm sure we'll get the latest. I'm
Tommy,
really
if you need a receptionist.
Exactly. But I'm just really interested to see like what, of course, you talked about Emeka Eneli. Like, what are the names that end up popping out really for the LA Galaxy? Like that to me is interesting. The other one, just from a league-wide like eyeballs perspective, like what Miami's going to do to kind of re-bolster that roster, right, given their departures. I think that's a really interesting one too. But man, like silly season has started, and no better person to talk about it with Tommy. So really looking forward to that, hoping that you guys can join us for sure on that.
Yeah, guys, we hope to see you, and hopefully it's a way different transfer window than it was last year for the Galaxy.
Yeah.
A transfer window where they were decimated. They lost a lot of their heavy hitters on that roster, like Dejan Jovic, Gaston Brugman, and of course, one of the heavies, Delgadito, Mark Delgado, who went to LAFC just down the freeway. And speaking of LAFC, now we are joined once again. Welcome back to the show, our friend from Defenders of the Bank and our showmate from the Soccer and 60 podcast, the Scarf, aka JR the Bear. Hey, Papa, what's up? Welcome back.
What's happening, gentlemen? I'm going to be a little laggy, I think, on the visual part of it. I was telling you guys backstage, somebody stole my computer from work, so that's always fun to have to deal with that stuff. But I think the sound has been good as far as I know. It's just like our Soccer in 60 broadcast these last little bit. So I apologize for everybody who has to deal with the laggy visual, but you guys didn't want to see my face anyway, so that's fine. Gentlemen, it is silly season. Transfer window opened, and all of those, we can talk about everybody that was drafted across the entire league today in that MLS re-entry draft. I still don't understand what the heck that is or why they do it, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's only for the sickos, just like us.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Exactly. Well, I was just about to ask you. You said it's good to be back, and we have 2 months off, pretty much. And so I know that for people like Tommy, who's going to be our guest on Tuesday, shameless plug, he's taking tons of phone calls. So he's probably like, God help me. Other people are probably like, it's nice to have the time off, but you seem kind of excited. Are you excited, or are you kind of more like, I'm glad for the respite?
Well, I'll tell you this. No rest for the weary with LAFC, in that we knew Steve Cherundolo would be leaving. We didn't know how soon they would announce his replacement. And obviously, Marc Dos Santos, one of the worst kept secrets in all of Major League Soccer, was announced just I don't think the door had even closed yet on saying goodbye to Steve. And they had already announced Marc Dos Santos. And then we get the CONCACAF Champions Cup draw, which I know we're going to talk about for both you guys and for us. And so, yeah, there's an off season in terms of some of these guys might be taking a little break. We know Sonny's getting his flowers over at Tottenham. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of nice to sit back this season for LAFC and wonder, okay, who is it going to be? With 23 players already under contract next season for LAFC, a lot of the cupboard has already been stocked. So it's going to be, who can they bring in to help enhance the roster? Obviously, we're hoping for one more big name up top or in the midfield, but we'll have to see. But it's been a nice little offseason so far.
What you mean, Thorington hasn't called you up and offered you a contract yet?
Listen, if Thorington offers me a contract, you can say goodbye to the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That's for sure.
Well, you brought it up, and I love you for doing so. I love it when guests segue for me. But you brought up a new coach, and this coach was just named a couple of days ago, just like you mentioned. Steve Cherundolo was the club's second coach in its history and is now gone. By the way, was Dolo ever really a thing? Like, did he ever really like embrace like, oh, I'm Dolo, or is that just like a fan thing?
No, that's definitely a fan thing. He answered to it when you would yell it. If you were at like I remember the Coachella Valley Invitational, somebody was yelling it out there, and he turned around and waved to them and everything else. But no, I don't ever think it was really a thing.
Well, Steve, part of LAFC's history, but now there's a third head coach, Marc Dos Santos. Give us your impressions on the hiring, man. Is this underwhelming? Are you disappointed, or is this a safe hire that, in your eyes, kind of provides a continuity that could elevate the team?
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely safe, first and foremost. A lot of the LAFC Twitterverse, of course, wanted big name after big name after big name. And I think once Ange Postecoglou signed and that ship sailed, I think they were like, all right, they're probably going to promote from within. But look, Marc Dos Santos has the potential, and I'm going to nerd out, and so many people are going to groan right now with all this stuff, but he's got the potential to either be Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, in that he has learned under both Bob Bradley and Steve Cherundolo. So will it be him taking from Yoda and Obi-Wan and then putting those two things together and then really being able to take the next step? What we saw from Bob to Steve was Bob was able to get them a supporters shield, but that was really about it. So then Steve comes in, we get MLS Cup, we get a supporters shield. I don't buy into any of the notion that it was Bob's team that he pushed over the line. No, Denis Bouanga came on board, Gareth Bale, Giorgio Chiellini, a lot of other names came on board after that. He was able to get a little better ingredients in the cupboard for sure. But I'm thinking that Marc Dos Santos has been able to do actually three things that are pretty big for LAFC. Number one, learning under Bob. Number two, learning under Steve Cherundolo. But then number three, he went to Vancouver, was their head coach for a little bit, and then beat us once as their head coach. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at it and thinking, he's figured out how to beat us from the opposite side. He's figured out how to be better from the inside. It could be something really good. Now, that being said, if LAFC comes out, and I don't expect them to do this with Denis Bouanga and Son Heung-min and everybody else, but if we come out and maybe we're 2-2-2 to start the season, you might hear that seat gets a little hotter, a little quicker under Marc Dos Santos than it might have under Steve Cherundolo.
You did mention that stop in Vancouver, and the numbers don't look good for him during that time. Is that a worry at all? In that his head coach time in the show in MLS, the record wasn't great.
Look, the last guy we brought in was awful at the Las Vegas Lights, and he did okay for us over the course of 4 years. So I'm not worried about that. He's actually got a ton of head coaching experience, though. He was a 2-time coach of the year in the NASL, coached the Montreal Impact before they were in Major League Soccer when they were a member of NASL. So, no, I think he's cut his teeth. He's kind of behind the scenes gotten ready for this moment. And now here he is with his close-up with a club that is actually aspirational, unlike those Vancouver Whitecaps clubs back then. Those aren't the current Vancouver Whitecaps club. That's a very good, very aspirational club. But I think what you're seeing from Marc Dos Santos is the culmination of about 15 years, maybe even 20, of behind the scenes work as an assistant and then as a head coach on a couple different spots, to where now, look, it's going to be sink or swim time for him for sure.
Sushi chef learned how to make the rice, and now he's ready to cut the fish.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things, remember, Rob, that because Scarf, we had play-by-play announcer Jorge Perez Navarro on the other day, and he was talking he was just talking about it was a surprise, but there is a thing called continuity. There is a thing called like continuing really like core principles and core philosophies, and I think that's what this hire really represents. And I think they're just banking on that versus completely going the other way. And maybe you find yourself in a situation where now some of those players that you kind of built up and that are ready to take the next step, now they have to go through a kind of a different philosophy, of a different sort of mindset, a different, the things that have been consistent throughout even the Bob and the Cherundolo years. And I think that's an understated point that maybe a lot of people aren't looking at.
Well, and let's be real. This isn't Bob Bradley's team. This isn't Steve Cherundolo's team. This isn't Marc Dos Santos' team. This is John Thorrington's team, right? And he's the one that has been pulling all the strings really from day one. And even one of the quotes that was in Marc Dos Santos' hiring sheet that they put out was, he understands the way we want to play at LAFC, which really tells you who's the one dictating the style of play. It's not the coach. And that could speak to another reason why they didn't really bring in somebody else from the outside who might have their own philosophy, their own way of doing things, and they promoted from within.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Big Ang earlier. Other bigger names were mentioned in connection with LAFC. Were you yourself surprised that they didn't go out and make a bigger splash, or did you kind of see this one coming?
I mean, I think everybody saw that it was a possibility. I think first and foremost, the one thing that you have to understand is that you're not going to bring in a Marc Dos Santos before going to Sonny and going to Denis Bouanga and maybe even somebody who you guys mentioned earlier, Mark Delgado, someone like that who's kind of running the midfield engine there, and getting them to sign off on a move like this, especially if you're John Thorrington and you are set on playing the way that you have been playing over the last several seasons. You want to get your players buy-in and all of it. And from what we understand, from at least what's been put out there into the media, it's an easy sell on these players that Marc Dos Santos is going to take over the helm from Steve Cherundolo. It remains to be seen. We've seen Ante Razov's name get thrown around, I believe, with the St. Louis job, and we'll see if he's able to keep the band together there on the bench, or if he might have to bring in a couple of pieces of his own. We've seen a goalkeeper coach change every now and then, or a player added to the bench, or a coach added to the bench every now and then. But I think it was an easy sell to the players because he's very, very well liked within the locker room and the organization.
Well, you mentioned there was a kind of a little bit of a furor amongst LAFC fans when this one went down. Has that calmed down a little bit, or are they still hanging out with pitchforks?
I've come to believe that unless if Arne Slot gets fired over the next little bit for all this Mohamed Salah stuff and LAFC brings him in, you would have LAFC supporters with pitchforks and torches ready to riot. I don't know who it would have to be for everybody to be happy, but what I do know is nobody will ever be happy. So I think it's just a matter of the club doing what they feel is best and completely ignoring the sentiment of their supporters.
Well, this is a game in which fans are very seldom directly listened to. So, like it or not, LAFC fans, Dos Santos will be the man to lead LAFC into the Champions Cup, and Galaxy fans, Greg Vanney and his team might be on a collision course with them. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but the moment we have been waiting for has finally arrived. The Galaxy learned its first opponent of 2026 during the CONCACAF Champions Cup draw that took place on Tuesday afternoon live from Miami. I'm going to ask you both one-word reaction to your team's matchup. Scarf, you first.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked. Yeah, I only get one word, right? So I'll leave it at stoked for now.
You're like, I'm stoked. I want to say more, but I'm gonna follow.
I was told one word.
All right, Ananda. You see how people follow the rules, Ananda. Go ahead. Now it's your turn.
Who? That was my word. I was like, who?
Ouch.
Like,
Ouch,
no,
man.
seriously, but maybe okay, like in one sense, like that's a good thing, right? Because you're like, okay, I don't know who the heck this team. I've never heard of them in my life. But then that might, but then that might come back to bite me. I hope not. But I was like, who? Okay, then my mind was like, okay, this is probably a good thing. Let's roll with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to be honest as well. I got to keep it a buck. I didn't know about Sporting San Miguelito.
Neither. Yeah, neither.
You know, I knew of some of the other Panamanian teams when I was looking them up for research, but they were a new one on me. And honestly, I just kept singing Miguelito the whole time. So
I just kept thinking of Coco the whole time.
No, exactly. But guys, the round one matchups have been determined for this 61st edition of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And of course, the draw was made, but we don't know the dates or the times yet. CONCACAF will announce the complete schedule for round 1 and round of 16 in the coming days. Guys, if you did not watch this draw, the round 1 matchups are Pumas versus San Diego. The Galaxy is matchup number 2. They are playing Sporting San Miguelito, who Ananda said who. So I'm going to give you a quick get-to-know Sporting San Miguelito. They are ranked 63rd in CONCACAF. They finished 3rd in 2025 in the Clausura Eastern Division and finished 2nd in the Apertura Eastern Division in 2025. They made the championship playoff, but were eliminated in the first round by Independiente La Chorrera with the 94th minute injury time goal. They also qualified for the championship playoff in 2024. Also a first round exit for them in 2023. They played bang on in the season. They took 2nd and 1st in the Clausura and Apertura, but could only get as far as the 2nd round. Before that, they hadn't been in the top flight in Panama since 2015. Only 2 titles in the club's history, 2013 and 96-97. They only have a little bit more of a lifespan than the Galaxy, founded in 1989, so officially 6 years. So, guys, the winner of the Galaxy versus San Miguel will face Mount Pleasant from Jamaica, and that round of 16 matchup will be played in March 2026. Mount Pleasant is ranked 66th in CONCACAF rankings, and they're on a high at the moment. They just won the 2025 Caribbean Cup. Ananda, no shade to Sporting, but is this about to be about the kindest draw that the Galaxy could ever have gotten?
If I look at the first 2 rounds, 100%. Now, when it gets to the quarterfinals, which we might talk about a little bit, we might double click on that. But it gets a little dicey, right? It gets a little dicey. But come on, like Rob, like, okay, let's put it this way. Let's look at our friends down the I-5 and let's see who they have to play in the first 2 rounds. Pumas in round 1 and Toluca in the round of 16. I mean, so it is a night and day difference. We're playing the 63rd and 66th CONCACAF, places or place teams in CONCACAF in that region. So look, this is probably a blessing in disguise. And I hope that there's no, like, of course, the trap here, it's always like we always call it on the show, right? Trap game, right? And especially with how early the season is. So this is a different conversation, but we have to be ready for this because this is probably, to your point, like this is the kindest that we probably could have gotten. Because I look at San Diego, I'm like, holy crap, poor San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego against Mexican opposition. Round 1, matchup 3 also has Mexican opposition in Cruz Azul versus Vancouver FC. Matchup number 4 is more Mexican teams, Monterrey versus Zelahu MC from Guatemala. And then matchup number 5, which I know Scarf has been mouth-watering to get to here because LAFC just got thrown a meal in Real Sede España de Honduras. Scarf, how do you feel about LAFC's chances in this tournament? Or actually, let's just keep it down to this first round here and then second round, because LAFC also has a pretty good path to the quarterfinal. So I believe they would play Real España and then Alajuelense, which, you know, Alajuelense is a little bit of a stronger team.
Yep.
But what do you feel about this first two rounds under this new coach, Mark Dos Santos?
I mean, first of all, can we go back for a minute? You guys get to travel to Panama and Jamaica if you're going to the away tie on these first two matches for you guys. Very jealous of just the travel schedule. Now, granted,
we're going to the all-inclusive, baby.
I'm with you. I mean, there's a sandals in each one of those places for sure. But look, I've never been to Honduras, so I'm really excited to go check out the stadium. They don't play in front of a ton of people. But Real España, look, they're decent enough, right? They're decent enough to pose a challenge. You had mentioned it. They're not 65th, right in between your two opponents there, 65th in the CONCACAF rankings. They actually beat your first round opponent 4-0 in one of the qualifying tournaments to play to get into where they were playing. And look, it's definitely a winnable match. And I'll say this, Sonny and Denis will both be available. They will both be healthy. They will both be ready to go. And they don't need much other than a patch of grass on a soccer ball to get things going between the two of them. So I really like it. But if you look, there's only one team within the top 35 of CONCACAF rankings who is not from either MLS or Liga MX, and that is at number 25, our opponent in 2023, Alajuelense. And so that is a very good club that we will be having to travel to Costa Rica. Again, I'm not complaining. Honduras and Costa Rica, you guys have Panama and Jamaica. It's not a bad day at the office for either one of these two clubs for sure. But I was in the stands in Costa Rica in 2023 when we beat Alajuelense. And I'll say this, while their stadium is great and their crowd was fine, I was surprised, and I'm going to catch a ton of heat from this, but I was surprised at the lack of true enthusiasm and spirit in the crowd in Alajuelense. I am going to expect a completely different animal the second time we go down there, assuming we get after Real España. But if you're these clubs, if you're Real España and now Alajuelense, you get to welcome Sonny into your building for the first time. And I think that changes everything. Look, I don't know how many of the Koreans are going to travel down to either of these two destinations, but I know if you are in Honduras or if you are in Costa Rica and you are a fan of the sport, you have one of the true global icons coming into your stadium to play against your club. That is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I really do think we are going to see the best of both of these two crowds. I don't think that LAFC should have any trouble with Real España. And if we're keeping it a buck, like you guys like to say, we shouldn't have trouble even with Alajuelense, but it's a club that I wouldn't be surprised if they did give us a little bit of trouble in at least one of the two legs.
Scarf, who got the better matchup in the first round, LAFC or the Galaxy?
Oh, man, come on. You guys' first two, 63 and 66. I think that you guys, it's going to be interesting. Your club, Sporting San Miguelito, if you're going to go, get your ticket tonight. They play in front of 2,000. Their stadium seats 2,000. It's rough for me to talk about them because they're 6 years younger than I am. So I'm a little upset about that, if I'm being honest. But no, I think if you could draw it up, if you could pick, you would probably have been perfectly fine drawing Sporting San Miguelito and Mount Pleasant FA of Jamaica. Matchup-wise, in terms of talent, I just think that even if, and this will be an interesting thing to talk about, I'm not sure if you guys are going to bring it up tonight or not, but if Ricky Pooch isn't ready to roll that early on in the season for you guys, I still don't think that's much of a challenge, especially the way that you were playing towards the end of the year when you seemed to kind of put all the pieces together, even without Ricky Pooch. I think that if you needed a soft landing and maybe he doesn't need to play over these first month and a half of matches or so, you guys couldn't have picked two better opponents.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, man. It gives us room for error for sure. It gives us a little breathing room. And we saw that even last year against Herediano, right? Like our roster was not ready. Christian Ramirez was starting at number 9. We had to start guys like Harbor Miller, younger guys. And, Herediano, we scraped through, right? But then once we faced tougher opposition, that was it. So I agree with that. It gives us more breathing room, Rob, but that's no excuse. We still got to get in the transfer war room and make stuff happen.
That's absolutely true. And, we saw all those free agents, and we know that the Galaxy is actively making calls. Shout out to the Podfather, who talked about that on his recent podcast. But let's look at the rest of these matchups here. Nashville plays Atletico Ottawa. Club America plays Club Olimpia. Philadelphia Union plays Defense Force FC. Tigres plays Forge. FC Cincy plays O&M. I had never heard of that club before. I thought it was like a fashion label, O&M FC. And then the Vancouver Whitecaps play Club Sport Cartagenis. Scarf, I know that LAFC is your team, but let's zoom out a sec and look at the relative lack of success that MLS has had in this tournament. Based on the draw, do you see a path to silverware for an MLS team? I mean, we've already kind of looked at where the Galaxy and LAFC could meet, which is the quarterfinals. We'll talk about that here in a second. But looking at the other side, you have the other MLS teams, and looking at where they're drawn. Is there a good chance for an MLS title victory here?
Look, I'll say this. I think that the cream of MLS, and we're talking about the Inter Miamis, the Vancouvers, I'll throw us in the mix, but I think that if you look at the teams that ended the season on top or near the top in MLS, and you look at some of the clubs in Liga MX right now, even though they're playing pretty well, like Toluca was the darling of the ball for a little bit, but now it looks like they've come back to the pack. I really do think that 3 or 4 or 5 different MLS clubs should come into this, regardless of their matchups, feeling like they can win this whole thing. And I believe, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, you could have an Inter Miami Club America match relatively early in the tournament.
In the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and you're talking about those have to be 2 of the favorites to win the whole thing, right? So one of them is going to be gone at the quarters. Look, I have a very unpopular opinion about the entire tournament, and that's until somebody figures out how they're going to knock off Lionel Messi and whoever he brings with him. I know there won't be Jordi Alba. I know there won't be Sergio Busquets. I know that roster will look a little different, but okay, he's just going to call up his next group of friends and have them come down and see how quickly they can gel. I just think they've got something really uniquely special going on there in Miami because, obviously, of the attraction of Lionel Messi. He gets to call whoever he wants, especially if they're Argentinian, and they will come and they will play, and they will likely do very, very well. So I think I have to look at Miami. I obviously look at Vancouver, and a player like Thomas Muller, you're going to give him even more time in the midfield to kind of put his stamp on that club. Ryan Gauld getting healthy and Brian White and the huge step that Sebastian Berhalter took, Tristan Blackman reigning defender of the year. There are a lot of things going right in Vancouver that make them uniquely set up to win a tournament like this. I think they could be very good. I think that it's a little bit of a downtime right now for Liga MX. It's a little bit of a shine, a little spotlight in the moment here for MLS clubs. And look, I also wouldn't be surprised. I forget who CD Olympia is playing in the first round, but Olympia is another club.
Club America.
Yeah, Club America. There you go. That could be a club that they're a very good. They're the class of Honduras, and they've won this thing twice in their history. They're playing very well right now. They have a very good defense. And I think that could be something. What I like in this tournament is the same reason why I like the U.S. Open Cup. I root for the USL League One side when they're going up against an MLS side or something like that. I'm rooting for OAMA and some of these other clubs. I wanted to see a Vancouver derby in the first round. I mean, there were look, how can you not love Atletico Ottawa? Just the name alone.
Forge, baby.
Oh, yeah. I'm in on Atletico Ottawa. I'm hoping just for chaos. That's the most fun.
Yeah, no, and then looking, you mentioned Whitecaps, so looking at their tie, they play Cartagenas, and then if they move forward, then we have an all MLS round of 16 matchup in the Sounders and Whitecaps. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be a great tie as well. I'm going to kind of saying here on this tip here on MLS's chances to lift this silverware. LAFC and the Galaxy were drawn on the same side of the bracket, so they'll eventually meet in the quarterfinal. Is there a better side of the bracket, though?
You know, it's funny. Like when I was thinking about this, I think from a maths perspective, Rob. You know, we love maths on the show. Like,
Do we?
the answer is, well, to your point, maybe me more than you, but to you know, on the left side, just from pure math, like you've got 4 Liga MX teams versus 2 on the other side of the bracket, right? So just at face value, you would say maybe yes. Now, where it gets tricky is really if you're looking at, you know, through the round of 16, even Cruz Azul and Monterrey are probably going to play each other. So like there's one eliminated. So that basically boils it down to 3, right? And then you've got like either San Diego can knock off Pumas or Toluca can knock off Pumas. So there's like, it's basically going to be the same anyways. Like I feel like no matter what, you're going to have to go through a Liga MX team. You're going to see them the very latest, the quarterfinals, right? Now, where I think LAFC and the Galaxy have the advantage is those first 2 rounds, like we've been talking about, are very favorable. So if you're looking at this from the situation of, okay, let's use those ties to build momentum to obviously we know like every MLS season is different, right? Like to build that momentum, build that, especially like depending on when the schedule is, like for the first round, especially if it's in February, right? Carry that momentum over to your first few league matches, and then so by the time that you get to the quarterfinals, like you've kind of built up a head of steam already, and those matches, those early matches, will afford you the margin for error for you to do so, right? Like it like there's a larger opportunity. But what? Go ahead. You're about to say something.
I've been like listening to you and then looking at this draw, this bracket, and realize I've been saying the quarterfinal, this potential quarterfinal matchup between LAFC and the Galaxy.
Semifinals.
It's actually semifinal.
It's I know. It's like you're probably thinking like Western Conference, like quarterfinal, whatever. Like it's the semifinals. But yeah. So like
that makes it even spicier. But go ahead.
I was gonna say at face value, to answer your question directly, like yes, but then I look at it again. It's like really there's not. Where I can say better, quote unquote, is LAFC and LA Galaxy. Both LA teams have a very favorable first 2 rounds, and I think both teams have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, no, they have to go ahead and like you said, take advantage of any kind of advantage early that they have and jump off to a good start, especially if, like you guys mentioned, if Ricky doesn't play, they need to still get the job done. Scarf, both the Galaxy and LAFC avoided an all MLS fixture in the first round by not getting drawn with San Diego, but could be headed for that collision course that we've been mentioning in the semifinal. In your opinion, would that be the biggest El Tráfico ever?
Ooh, biggest El Tráfico ever, semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Sure. I don't know. Yes. I feel like MLS Cup playoffs still mean maybe a little bit more to both sides. But I don't know. Yeah. I'll go with that. Because this
what's
obviously
the furthest the teams have met in the MLS playoffs? Was that
it was the
5-3,
right?
Yeah, the 5-3. The 5-3
yeah,
win, I believe,
the
right?
Chicho, the Chicho Arango. Yeah.
So it's basically like a semifinal.
Yeah, I think, look,
the
implications obviously, right, are that you get to play for an international trophy with this one, right? So I think that the stakes could be bigger for sure. I also think if I could take the other side of the coin and say it never matters. It's always the biggest El Tráfico that we will play, right? It always matters because you have to wait until the next one and hear it from the entire other side of the fan base until you get to play that next one. And so, look, I think it's massive in its implications, and it allows both clubs to be one step closer to that trophy. And I think that's important. But I also just think, in as much as I would like to say, yeah, this one's really important, It's probably the most important one to date, but I also think it's just as important as every other time we play each other.
Yeah, actually, Rob, I think the significance of an El Tráfico semifinal, I think it goes beyond just the rivalry. I think for me, it would be amazing to have at least two MLS teams in the semifinal, right? And I think it's more of a, like, if I put my pro MLS hat on for a second, I think that would be huge in terms of, finally, like, MLS starting to kind of get over the hump, because that would mean that Toluca and Cruz Azul, for example, that would mean they would not be in the semifinals, right? So I think that's really important in terms of MLS asserting their stamp, their dominance in CONCACAF. So I think I would love that, especially for that reason. Rivalry aside,
I'm gonna be petty and say, F the benefits that MLS would get. I mean, just think about how massive a Champions Cup semifinal would be.
Oh yeah,
in Los Angeles, right? I mean,
yeah.
you have the eyes of the
World Cup. What?
Exactly. No, but you have the eyes of the world, on this tournament, and then you have a semifinal here with the Galaxy and LAFC. I mean, it would be massive. So
yeah,
I mean, just mass love to my city for being big enough to have this kind of event, or the possibility to have both your teams in the semifinal. And yeah, the World Cup is going to be here this year as well in 2026, but it would be really special to have a semifinal Champions Cup, Galaxy versus LAFC. I mean, for me, I think that one, like you said, Sarf, is for an international trophy. It's big, it's huge bragging rights. I think. So really quick, we just got a couple more questions for you, then we'll let you go. How do you feel about your chances in this tournament? I mean, you've seen the draw, you see your path. Galaxy versus LAFC could potentially meet in the semifinal, but then then you're off to the final if you take that El Tráfico. So how do you feel realistically about LAFC's chances in this one?
I mean, look, I think you have to look at LAFC and where they sit, not just in the Major League Soccer landscape, but in the CONCACAF landscape, and having an entire season with Denis Bouanga and Son Heung-min up top, having an entire season where you have some stability. Hopefully, we have players who everyone's going to be healthy at the start of this tournament, right? So we're going to see the Marc Dos Santos system unveiled for the first time with healthy players and Denis and Son. I think, again, it can go one of two ways very quickly. If something about Marc Dos Santos' system isn't clicking or working, we're going to find out very, very soon. I just don't anticipate that to be the case. I really think we're going to hit the ground running with a system that works for the roster that we have. Like I mentioned before, 23 players already under contract, and you can likely pencil in, I would say, at least 8 or 9 of the starting 11 spots on the pitch already with the 23 that we have. And if somebody does get booted from those 8 or 9, it's that we're bringing a very, very talented player in to take their spot. So I don't mind that at all if that's going to happen. So I think if LAFC doesn't look at themselves as one of the top 2 or 3 or 4 clubs in this entire tournament with the ability to win the entire thing, not just the ability though, with the wherewithal and the championship aspiration to win the entire thing, I think that LAFC can certainly do it. This isn't, if you're asking me, it's not the Seattle Sounders or Nashville or maybe a couple of other these clubs where everything would have to go right and in order to make it to the semis or the finals. I think that if you asked a lay person who follows the CONCACAF region, if LAFC made it to the finals or semifinals of this tournament or won the whole thing, would it surprise you at all? I think the majority of people would say no.
Well, we have loved having you once again on this humble little podcast. Thank you once again for hanging out with us. Really quick before you bounce out, please let the folks know where they can go and stalk you real quick when they're trying to get their information on LAFC before El Tráficos.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who had to endure my camera lagginess for this entire time. My computer got stolen, like I said at the top of this, and I'm working on a backup. I know. Thank you. Please give it back when we're done. I'm working on a backup computer, but if you want to hate listen or just listen or watch us over at Defenders of the Bank, which is the LAFC podcast that your mother warned you about, you can find us on any of the social media platforms at Defenders of the Bank, and that's bank with a C. And on Twitter, we are at Defend the Bank. We're a couple episodes away from number 400, so that's going to be a lot of fun for us. Yeah, thank you. And listen, for all of you out there that are Galaxy supporters listening to this podcast, these are two of some of the best guys doing it. I get a chance to work with them quite a bit on another show that's broadcast on Fox Sports Radio and on KMET called Soccer in 60. So you guys want to check that one out. These guys are always on, and they're always fantastic. And I do really enjoy working with them. And it's just nice to be able to talk to somebody on the other side of the aisle and have it be a friendly, fun banter and discourse.
Yeah, because like you always say, Scarf, it's at the end we're just arguing over a piece of laundry. So
there you go.
And we will send you payment for those nice words. So,
check will be in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah, no. As always, Scarf.
Thanks, Scarf.
You've been class. Thank you for dropping by, and I'm sure we will catch up several times here on this podcast over the course of the season. So until we meet again, I bid you adieu, sir. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Happy holidays. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Oh yeah, happy holidays, man. Woo!
Thank you. You too.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and since Scarf dropped their socials, I feel like it's a good time to let you guys know about ours as well. You guys know where to find us at La Cuna Galaxiana, pretty much on everything. Like Ananda says, even on Blue Sky, we're out there somewhere flying through the blue sky.
I can't believe you still haven't verified that, though, Papa. You got to verify it.
No, right now.
Verify your source.
Right now, it's more kind of like a. No, I mean, I tried looking one day and I was like, that's not easily findable. That's not good for SEO. Anyway, so anyway, like I said, it's a nice time to say thank you guys for listening in. I mean, I know that this is a Galaxy podcast, but like, we mentioned, we like to talk ball with people that know ball, and Scarf knows ball. So we bring them on to talk about soccer here in the city, because like I mentioned, a semifinal Champions Cup would be massive for the city. So anyway, go ahead and follow, like, subscribe, do all the good things. And now, because we've been kind of delaying this for the past 2 or 3 episodes where we were supposed to talk about this and other things would come up, now we get to forward or attacking player grades. Yay! Ananda, take it away.
All right, let's start. You guys know how this works. We're going to pull up some stats and give everyone a letter grade, and of course we'll narrate through everything, so you guys can go ahead and put your grades in the chat and why you think it. But so this one, Papa, I don't know. I'm not going to give a grade yet, because I thought I was going to come into this with a predisposition, but let me just go with the first attacker, and that is San Miguelito.
Hey, real quick, let's stop the train there. Our homie in chat, Anthony Martinez, says it's his B-Day on Sunday. Woo! He says he's gonna get turned up at the Blue, White, and Gold pop-up.
Oh, nice.
Sunday. Ooh,
shout out, Anthony.
I hope you do. Many blessings to you. Nuestro hermano Anthony has another year around the sun. You love to see it. Won't he do it? God bless you. Go ahead, Ananda. Sorry about it.
No, all good. Shout out, Anthony, man. And yeah, hope you have a great one. So first one, San Miguelito, the other San Miguelito. So really quick, before we get into the stats, 681 minutes played in 17 matches this season or in 2025.
So what you're saying is we're doing an NA.
Well, let me run through it. 2 assists in those 681 minutes, which I found must be hockey assists, because I really don't remember a Miguelito assist. In the Cups, he played 174 minutes, 6 matches played. So, you're looking at about 850 combined minutes in the league and the Cups. Rob, he started 9 out of 23 matches played. Salary was at $232. Of course, he is no longer with the team. So I'm going to stop there. Just based on the minutes, are we giving him a grade? What are we saying?
My question is this to you, sir.
Yes.
I love Tucker Lepley. Everyone knows that. We NA'd him because he didn't play enough minutes. combined, what did Tucker play, and combined, what did Miguelito play? If Miguelito played more minutes combined than Tucker, then sure, let's give him a grade. If he's within plus or minus 50 minutes, nah, we're NAing.
Oh man, you're gonna make me stall because I have to now go back and look at our notes. And geez, you see what this guy does to me, guys. All right,
I'm just saying it's fair, right? Because if you
all
keep
right.
it in perspective,
Okay, so T-Leps, shout out Tucker, shout out Erm. T-Leps played 650 minutes combined in 18 matches played. So 650 minutes versus 850 minutes.
Okay, 200 more. Okay, like I said, plus or minus 50. So
we're
giving him a grade.
But we're splitting hairs. Like we really are. Like I'm okay with giving him a grade because it's for me it's easy actually. It's really easy.
What's the impact, right? Like you're giving a player a grade who had for me and I like to talk to Miguel a lot. He was a stand-up guy, great guy, but I mean, he expressed frustration a couple times throughout the season that he wasn't getting minutes, and then when he would, he would, have a couple moments here or there, but very likely he would get thrown into situations in which he wasn't set up to be successful. So again, I ask, what's the impact for this player that we give him a grade? What do you?
That's a really good like constraint that we should put on this. So I will give him an NA. I'm with you. Like if I had to give him a grade, look, he's a bench guy at 272, and he's just nothing but he's nothing but average, right? He's just an average player. So I'd give him like a middle of the road grade. But I think I'm with you now. I'm gonna go with the NA because you're right. There's like he didn't play enough meaningful minutes, just like Tucker didn't get to play enough meaningful minutes, right? At the end of the day.
And then if you were to give him a grade, you got to keep it in the context in which you always say, like, what is
like C minus? Yeah,
he's a backup role player, and when he did get to play, I guess he was serviceable enough. Like you said, he had 2 assists.
Yeah,
he's a striker, so he needs goals, right?
But
so
he's no longer in the team. So there you go.
So let's keep it moving. Let's get to a man who at the beginning of the year I thought would be gangbusters, and I ended up with egg on my face. Thank you, Christian Ramirez. Take it away, Ananda.
Yeah, so Christian Ramirez, let me get you guys the minutes here. So 917 minutes played in the league, 25 matches, 4 goals and 1 assist. Not bad. In the Cubs, he played about 308 minutes, 7 matches played, 1 goal. Rob, he had 13 starts out of his 32 matches played. Funnily enough, all of his starts came before the May 18th match against LAFC at home. That was that 3-3 thriller, Marco Reus free kick, if you guys remember that one. And if you look at his stats, like, it's funny because usually I have those like red boxes to like draw your eye and to call attention to certain things. I really don't for Christian Ramirez. Like for Christian, like I don't have anything. And maybe this just tells me that like he was just either average or maybe even below average on some things. And this is to your point, Rob, about like you were expecting with his pedigree, especially at the Columbus Crew, like you were expecting a lot more from him. But really, like none of the stats necessarily jump out. And let's talk about this, right? Your job as a number 9 is to bang in goals. Now he got 5 goals in all comps, probably not enough. You're probably wanting in all comps, like you want him to at least hit that 10 mark, right? In all comps, like maybe like 8 in the league, 2 in the Cups, whatever that may be, especially with 13 out of 2 starts. And the biggest thing with Christian is honestly like, and we see with the eye test too, Rob, but like you look at those striker stats, like he had a low shot on target percentage, 40%. Of his shots were on target. Like if you look at that, if you look at like a high caliber player, like that's more than 50%. You want more than half of your shots on target. And on top of that, he had a 17% goal conversion rate. So he only scored on 17%, 1 out of 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 of every shot on target. And remember, like he missed so many one-on-one situations. Remember that one in New York Red Bull? Where we had literally palms on our faces, where he had that one-on-one breakaway and completely skied it to Rosie.
When we were at NYRB away.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I try to block out painful memories.
Exactly. We don't remember that, right? So like again, like so for a guy that you're paying him $570K a year. Now I'm gonna make an excuse really quick for Christian though, because when we signed him, he was not expected to play starting striker, but he by default had to start all the way up to what, May 18th, whatever I said before that match with LAFC. And then that was the time also that Nacimiento started to pick up form and started to pick up minutes. Like, I can't remember what Nasi's first game was, but there was that lag, right? Like the first couple of months, it was Christian. Like it was him and Miguel Berry and no one else, right? And that was it. So I don't know. A lot to think about, but honestly, like, my grade's not going to be high. It's probably going to be based on expectation too, based on like 570K, probably giving him like a C- or a D, man. Like I think he's just a much better player, and this was not his year.
Yeah, you know what? The only thing I'll say is that, like, I've called out a couple times that I was wrong on him, but I also did say in my original tweet, because I kind of looked it up the other day because I was like, damn, I really got that one wrong. But I did say, caveat, when Ricky Puig comes back, this man is going to eat, right? So
he never did. Yeah, and he never came back.
And he never came back, right? And so we don't know what this player looks like in a free-flowing attack that the Galaxy puts forward. I mean, we have Super One saying, so what explains that, Ramirez or Vanny Ball? I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I think Ramirez came in, again, not expecting to be the starting striker. He had to carry a lot of the load. And then Vanny Ball wasn't really Vanny Ball, because Ricky Puig wasn't there to help the system out. Like Papa says, the system was broken. Puig wasn't there. That exposed that. And yeah, we never got to see the Christian Ramirez that I feel like if he had been able to combine with the Ricky Puig, yeah, the man's going to get some chances, and he's going to put them away. I don't know for me now, though, that the ship hasn't sailed. Like, and for Greg Vanny too. Remember, he's called for that he wants a new striker several times. So again, I think that Christian Ramirez, if anything, ends up being a bench player, or like a second striker. And so again, you got to look at it in the context of, he didn't get put in the best situation. No Ricky, right? So he didn't have the service that he needed. He wasn't expecting to be the starting striker, I don't think, anyway. And yeah, so you look at it in that context, and yeah, I mean, I still probably have to give him like a C-, but I mean,
yeah, like C- or D. Like, he didn't. Well, and let me throw a third one in there too, like Ramirez, Vanny Ball, which is what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me throw in a third one, which is just confidence. Like, when the team around you, when you're in the middle of a 16-game winless streak, as a striker, as an attacker, you're going to kind of tense up. You're going to try way too hard in front of net. And I feel like Christian Ramirez found himself in those positions. And now, Rob, I converse that to what I saw in Dignity Health Sports Park earlier last month, I believe now, when we played that exhibition against Club America. Now, that was the Christian Ramirez that I thought that we were getting. Like, a guy that, yes, he's not the fastest, but he can get to the right spots. And if you give him a good delivery, like Mocuevas did on that one goal, he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. And I felt like he just played more free. Like, he didn't have like the detriments or the burden of a 16-game winless streak and like all this media and all this chatter around the team at that time. So I feel like that has something to do with it. So as someone said in the chat, like, I'm going to give him, or Anthony Martinez said, I still have faith in Santa Ana's own. Look, if we're expecting him to be not the starting striker, but a second striker, I think he's more than serviceable. And he's an upgrade on Miguel Berry, who was our backup striker in 2024, in my opinion.
Look, there's going to be a lot of games this year. And so I don't even know if it's correct to say backup striker or second striker. I mean, it's just another option for Greg, honestly.
Yeah, another option.
Because
right.
The Galaxy are going to need that depth. They're going to need a lot of players to play these matches. I mean, you got the Champions Cup.
But he's not a 15 to 20 goal striker, and that's what Greg wants in his starting striker. So that's the difference. But I expect him to chip in with at least 10 goals in all comps, right?
Give me wait, say it one more time.
I expect him to chip in at least, double-digit goals in all comps.
I was just about to ask you. So at least 10.
Yeah, in all comps. So cups included. Yeah.
That's fair. All right. So we've graded Christian Ramirez. His counterpart at the striker position, the guy who basically came in and took his job, Mateus Nascimento de Paula, Nasty Nazi.
Nasty
Oh
Nas.
man, yeah, he came on loan from Botafogo,
Yep.
and then he showed us a little bit of samba beat. Anando, take it away.
Yeah, a little bit. So again, we'll go through the minutes. So MLS, he played 1,166 minutes, 22 matches played, 3 goals, 2 assists. In the Cups, 318 minutes, 5 matches played, 3 goals and 1 assist. So 9 goal contributions in all comps. Still less than double digits, right? Even if you amass to the or amass both the in league and in the Cups. And again, the minutes for me is a little low. Like that was one of the things with Nasi. It was kind of stop start. He had a lot of niggles, we would see the team sheet and he wouldn't even be on there, right? So I wish he would have played more minutes, like over 2,000 at least, to really get a good gauge. But remember, he started the season late, and he just never. I don't think he ever caught full stride. Salary very similar to Christian Ramirez, about 571K. And again, this would be another U22 signing, so there would be some cap relief there, at least the number that actually hits against the cap. But again, contract situation, as eSuper is asking, again, no update yet. I don't even know if they're in negotiations at all.
And Tommy's article today, he mentioned that the team is still speaking to Botafogo.
Okay, yeah. So, and I think Josh probably did some reporting on that as well. But you look at those stats, Papa. Like I call that a couple things that jump out. One is it's just counterintuitive that again we are purchasing these forwards, we're recruiting these forwards to score goals, and you look at those stats in the top. It's something that he doesn't really do, right? Non-penalty goals, 0.23 per 90, 30th percentile. Even the XG, the underlying stats, 0.19 and the 13th percentile. He doesn't take enough shots, like 1.39, 6%. And remember, one of the things that I remember having this conversation with Alex Ruiz on our show earlier when we were scouting Mateus Nascimento. And one of the things he said was, Mateus in Botafogo plays really more as a support striker, as a second striker, not necessarily as the lead striker. So maybe like you're seeing some of those tendencies now in some of these stats, because you look at the assists, right? You see a lot more green, like in terms of the service and, dropping off and playing 1-2s and playing combinations. So that was one interesting. That was one interesting thing that I thought. And then the other thing too is like, but on the flip side, defensively, like he's a more than willing presser. You look at for a forward, like those tackles and blocks are actually pretty good as a forward. So if you think about like Dejan's role in the press in certain situations, right? Like Dejan was really, really like he was always a hard worker. That was one thing we always underappreciated about Dejan. Like if he had to get nasty, like if he had to like tackle someone, and we saw that Nasi actually put in a lot of flying tackles this year. I don't know if you remember a couple of those games, but he was putting himself about, right? He's more than willing to do that. But you don't sign a forward to do that. You're signing a forward to put the ball in the back of the net. And clearly he just didn't do that enough this year.
Truth. I love it when people segue me, and I also love it when people put my thoughts into words. And Joe 13 Cool, I think, pretty much captures it here. He says, yeah, Nasi passed the vibe check, but he really didn't score much, even less than Ramirez. But it did feel like the team worked better with him on. I think they scored the same amount. I'm not sure. And on the fact check that one, but
say that again.
I think they scored the same amount, Ramirez and Nascimento over both competitions. But I would agree with that. It feels like the team played better with when he was on. Like his style of play, his mobility made the team more dangerous and more fluid. So thanks, Joe 13 Cool, for reaching into my brain and plucking that thought out. I appreciate it. But we got to give him a grade, right?
Yeah, I'm honestly like, and especially like, young player, U22, potentially if we're to sign him back. Yeah, I'm going to give him, it's not going to be a very high grade. It's not going to be a passing grade either. Like we signed these forwards to score goals, and Rob, he only had 6 in all comps. That to me is probably like a D, right? He just like, it's the vibe checks thing. But then like, I look at, again, this is always our conversation around like, what are we comparing him to, or what's like the rubric that we should grade it. What's like the curve that we should grade him on, right? I'm grading him on the forward curve, and the forward curve, you got to put the ball in the back of the net, and he just didn't do that for me. That's why I'm giving a harsher grade. Probably
Got to get at least 10.
Yeah. I mean, I wish the minutes were higher, like I said, so we have more of a sample size. But again, it was just kind of start stop. But then it's like, you know, you look at those one-off examples of, remember that goal he scored in the last game of the season, right? Like, he's capable of doing that. So again, it's like
a lot of his misses were I dropped what's the word I'm looking for, like mouth watering as well. Remember that back heel where I think like he hit the post or it just went barely wide, and you're just like, oof, if that boy had scored that would have been on ESPN.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, I think you're probably going to give him like a C- D, something like that too, right? Papa failing.
Oh yeah, definitely a D. Maybe a D plus, just because you do see that promise, and yeah, he was hurt, which you can't hurt. I mean, he can't really do anything about that, except we always talk about the best availability is availability, or the best ability is availability. So I think a D is a D plus is fair, because I see the promise.
I'm gonna put it this way: money aside, like forget about money for a second. I know it's hard to have this conversation without the money piece. But bring back Nascimento or sign Benteke.
Sign Benteke.
There you go. That says it all.
Yeah. Proven goal scorer in MLS. Anyway,
even though he's 35, even if he's 35, and you have like we're saying that over a 2-year-old, 1-year-old, right? So there you go.
Yeah, but you know what you're getting with the Benteke already, which and we really don't know what you're getting with Nascimento, right? We kind of know this player, but we haven't really seen like a full season of him. Benteke for sure. Let's keep it moving here with the two DP wingers here at the Galaxy, who had to basically shoulder a lot of the attacking load all year for the Galaxy. Let's start with the other Brazilian on the Galaxy's roster, Gabriel Pecchi.
So Mr. Jesus is my savior. MLS in the league, he had 2,472 minutes played, 29 matches, 7 goals and 2 assists. In the Cups, Rob, 862 minutes, 10 matches played, 3 goals and 1 assist. So that would be 10 goals and 3 assists in all comps. But here's the thing: you compare that to 2024, he digressed 18 goals and 13 assists in all comps in 2024 versus the 10 and 3 this year. So he did regress quite a bit. Of course, we do know, Rob just mentioned, he is a DP, $2.5 million DP contract until 2028. And Rob, you look at those stats that I pulled up there on the pie chart. I mean, the things that I called out in red, or in that red box, I think are things that we know are his strengths. Like, even if you didn't look at the stats, you know that he likes to take on a man. He likes to carry the ball, right? He does receive a lot of like his dangerous touches, like in the opposing attacking penalty yard area. But what is the one thing that Greg wanted to see with him this year that we didn't get to see enough of? Go ahead.
Taking the final action at full speed.
Exactly. Or just simply put, making the right decision in the final third, right? Whether that's putting the curling shot far post or going across the keeper near post, or just laying it off very simply, because there was too many breakaways this season where he did not, unfortunately, do that. Maybe he was trying a little too hard as well. And here you go, Papa. I'm going to do the overlay now with 22. This is so on the left side.
Oh, you're dastardly. You brought the receipt.
Well, because the thing is, like, I wanted to see how big of a regression it was from 24 to 25. And you see it like that big red sort of gaping hole there on the top left, right? Like the little, like that, all of that in red, right?
I'm sitting here laughing over here because I'm like, damn, this is about the receipt. That's top class haterism right there. Congratulations, sir.
Well, you look at the assists, 92nd percentile, non-penalty XG plus assisted, right? It's all in the 90th percentile, and that just shows you that he was making the right decision in the final third, right?
Right.
Versus But again, like you look at those dribbling stats, carrying stats, we know he's good at that.
Even the progressive passes, though, I mean, it's like things like that to help your team, like they just weren't there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he was a bright spot, just like people are saying in the chat. But we know what his ceiling is. We've seen that potential. That his potential was what we saw in 2024. So
the lack of key passes. Wow,
he's a DP regression. I think I got to give him like, probably a C, like a C minus.
Yeah, again, we got to keep it into context, like just Anthony says, a different team, right? No Ricky makes the team different, and so the team is going to play differently as well. A lot of the creation had to come through these players, so again, we got to keep it in context. But yeah, I don't think you're too far off. What did you give him, a C?
Yeah, but let me put a rebuttal to that, which is if this is the guy that we thought was going to be an MLS record transfer fee out, there should be no excuses for that type of talent at the same point, right? So maybe you can say that, okay, like Ricky, if he plays with a guy like Ricky, like, or he will be at that level when he has a guy next to him like Ricky, or a midfielder, or someone feeding him the ball versus him having to progress or carry the ball himself, which is a point that Greg made a lot, right? Like he was trying to do too much of the ball carrying instead of someone giving it to him in the final third and just let him dance, right? Putting him in good positions. So
yeah, I'm not hating on your grade. Maybe a C plus for me, just because he was a bright spot, but he did regress something awful this year. But the next guy, Joseph Paintsville, I would argue was pretty consistent, since we're bringing receipts and bringing 2024 into the mix. I mean, the numbers aren't that far of a regression from 2024.
Yeah. Let's pull up the stats as we're narrating through this. So Joseph Paintsville, blessings. In the league, 1,974 minutes, 25 matches played, 10 goals and 2 assists. So he did, not unlike his compañero there, he did hit the double-digit goals mark this year in the league. In the Cups, 664 minutes, 8 matches played, 5 goals, 1 assist. Of course, we know that he is a DP contract. And with JP, we know about those progressive carry stats. He likes to take on a man, although I would like to see him hit on his man a little bit more, especially like taking it down the byline. Like sometimes he tends to just like go and just stop and maybe like hesitate a little bit. I just want to see, like, his speed is massive. Like literally he outpaces, other than like Nuhu, for example, like he outpaces a lot of fullbacks in this league. And then you look at the output, Papa, not bad, right? Non-penalty goals, 85th percentile. Even the underlying stats, so his XG, how threatening is he? 0.38 per 90. So he's expected to get almost a goal contribution, or sorry, almost a goal every 2 games. So 80th percentile. So not bad. And I'm just going to put this up for reference. I did do an overlay as well. 2024 to 2025. And
there was a regression as well.
One of the things that you'll see is the assists. And this is the same thing that we talk about with Gabriel Peck. With both of our DP wingers, what you saw was just a lack of, I don't know if it was confidence expecting it, but it was just a lack of decision-making in the final third for whatever reason that may have been, right? Because you see, like, for example, JP, and assists, he was in the 80th percentile in 2024, and that regressed to 21, the 21st percentile. And even the underlying stats, you look at like the NPXG plus XAG, for example, shot creating actions. So a little bit of a regression, but like you said, I thought that he was actually more of a bright spot this year than Gabriel Peck was. I thought JP really turned it on towards the end of the season.
I think so too. I think I was more frustrated with Gabriel Peck's, I guess, lack of being able to play himself out of that funk. He just seemed like he was in a funk all year, and he did have his moments where, you think, oh man, he's gonna break out, and then he just never hit that next gear. So yeah, I think our grade for him was fair. But when you look at Joseph Payne, so yeah, I think he was basically the guy that carried the Galaxy in the last half of the season, or the last part of the season, because before him it was Marco Royce. Marco Royce goes down, and then it's JP. Without his goals, I mean, where would the Galaxy have been? And honestly, like, the knock on JP is that he should have scored a lot more. I mean, he had a lot of goals that were sitters, or he hit the post a bunch of times. And so imagine if just his strike rate on those chances goes up just by, like a 20%, how many more goals he can score, and help out the team.
I think JP, he's never really been known as a clinical finisher. I mean, he creates separation with his speed. So it's one of those things where, look, I think the fact that he hit double digits in the league is I would say is a positive. But grade, I'm going to give him a little bit higher than Gabby. I'm going to give him probably like a B minus, something like that. Again, I think I expect probably a little bit more from JP. His numbers were down again from 24 to 25, even just goal production. I forgot how many goals he had in the league in 24. I probably should have looked that up, but it was definitely more than what he had in
I believe
25.
it was also 10.
Was it 10? Okay. But maybe he'd had more in like, well, the one thing about JP that I was really happy to see in the playoffs, though, is he finally like had big goals, like key goals, right? You think about like obviously the first one in MLS Cup final. The other thing too, man, is like everyone's talking about Ricky in the chat, but again, I hate to bring this one up again because it's a sight for sore eyes, right? And it's a sore subject. But Mark Delgado it's also a huge miss. Like, Rob, I remember when I did Los Galacticos with Alex from that round 1 playoff against Colorado, the matchup. There was a sequence where it was recycled with Ricky, and Ricky, I think it was Emmy directly to Mark Delgado, and he split like 3 defenders, like that one pass, and then Mark Delgado carried it all the way up, and Gabby Peck was already like in position to shoot. So Peck didn't, and this is what we're talking about with Peck, with like now the burden of progression now falls on him versus the midfielders helping him out, right? Because in that play, Peck just one-timed it, and he didn't even hit it well. He just kind of like scuffed at it, but back of the net, and Galaxy, I think it was like 2-0 or 3-0 at that point. So Mark Delgado is also a huge miss, man. And like those midfield progressors, we missed that a lot in 2024. Not just Ricky.
Well, let's give this man JP, who we both agree is the bright spot, a grade.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to give him like a B minus, a little bit higher than Peck.
I think I'm going to give him a B, like a solid B, right? Because he was probably for me the bright spot, like we keep on saying. So without his goals, we spoke about impact and Miguel Berry's relative lack of it. Joseph Painso was a high impact player, and so on that context, you got to give him a good grade, I think, and so I'm going to give him a B.
Fair. Yeah, we're not too far off.
Yeah, and that pretty much wraps it up, Cuneros. I mean, those are our player grades. We've gone through the gamut now. We've done the back line, the keepers, the midfielders, and now the attackers. Go through the back catalog and listen to the grades we gave and see if we were on. See if you agree. Let us know. Drop it in the comments and tell us if you think we were right. Tell us if you think we're fools. Either way, just let us know. Ananda, I think that's pretty much it for us. Should we bring this one on home?
Let's bring it on home.
Next on this humble little pod you call La Cuna Galaxiana. On Monday, December 15th, we'll be having our last nighttime show of the season, maybe, as we close out the year with coaching and front office grades. Yes, we are giving out one more set of grades. That'll be coaching and front office grades. And, of course, bring you the best in transfer chisme that night as well. And then the next day, we'll be able to verify those transfer chismes and potentially maybe even get an exclusive from this man himself, Tom Bogert, who will be here. He will be joining us for our first ever lunchtime stream as he breaks down the transfer window and just how many phone calls he's getting. So make sure to join us on Tuesday at 1:30 for a special lunchtime La Cuna Galaxiana. And that's pretty much it from us, guys. You know where to find us at La Cuna Galaxiana on all the socials, even on Blue Sky, which Ananda says is the thing. I don't believe him. But anyway, we do appreciate you guys being here with us tonight. Ananda, anything else to say?
Just want to say thank you to everyone in chat for joining us. Hopefully you guys are excited. I'm actually really looking forward to CCC next year, and maybe that should be my road trip. Like, and let me end my voodoo on this team.
We going to
with, like,
Jamaica?
Jamaica.
Ooh.
Well, let's make sure we take care of business against San Miguelito. Let's make sure we take care of business, and then hopefully, you know, Ricky makes his debut at Mount Pleasant Stadium in Jamaica. So how crazy would that be? But yeah. So, anyways, that would be super interesting. But yeah, man, Tom Chamberlain, need that transfer cheese, mate. We do too, and I'm hoping that Tom, Baba, hopefully we get some breaking news for Tom that is an exclusive on this show. So I'm hoping that happens. We'll see. We'll see what that happens. Hope it's Paul Rothrock to the Galaxy.
That would be insane, and you would be over the moon. Anyway, guys, we do appreciate you being here with us tonight, and till we meet again, which is on Monday, December 15th. We love you forever. Please go ahead and support this humble little podcast by subscribing. Keep telling your friends and family about it. Your lechero, your lotero, the guy who sells you, whatever you have fun with. Just go ahead and spread the love to everybody. And then again, happy birthday to the homies out there that are going to be celebrating safely, hopefully, at the Blue, White, and Gold pop-up this weekend. We hope to see you soon. And I think there's only one thing left to say, right, Ananda?
Dale, papa.
G's up. Te quiero tanto, 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 tanto.